Hello, and welcome to the explanation video for Form FL-105/GC-120, also known as Declaration under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. This video will cover page 1. In another video, we will cover page 2. So, let's get started. On this top section, this form is asking for your information. You could type in your name, your address, the city, state, and zip, along with your telephone number. And then you have a couple of optional options, such as a fax number or an email address. Then this form is asking if you have an attorney. Most likely, if you're watching this video, you do not have an attorney. If that is the case, any one of these three options will work, either self-represented, improper, or pro se. Each mean that you represent yourself. Then the form is asking what county it will be filed in. So if you're filing this form in Sonoma County, then Sonoma will go here. If you're filing this form in Solano County, then you can put Solano here. If you're filing this form in Los Angeles County, then you can put Los Angeles County here, so on and so forth. The form is then asking for the street address of the court, the mailing address of the court, the city and zip code of the court, and then the court branch name. This form also covers family law cases along with guardianship cases. If this is a family law case that you are using this form for, then you can place the name of the petitioner, then the name of the respondent. Then, if there is another party, you can put the third party information here. If there's not another party, feel free to leave it blank. This next section is guardianship of. Then you will place the name of the minor if you are using this form for guardianship cases. Then you will indicate the case number on the right side. If you do not have a case number, then you can leave it blank. Now we'll discuss the items. We have item 1, item 2, and item 3. Item 1 states, I am a party to the proceeding to determine custody of a child. Item 2 has a checkbox, which you can say applies to you or doesn't apply to you. Keep in mind, if item 2 is checked, then typically the address is checked and the person child live with, confidential, is checked. Each one of these boxes are checked for the children, which we will explain a little later. Item 2 states, my present address and the present address of each child residing with me is confidential under Family Code Section 3429, as I have indicated in item 3. If you are unsure what Family Code Section 3429 is, you can look it up online within your search bar, or you can email our Unlimited Paralegal team, and they will assist you with finding this information. Once you have figured out if item 2 applies to you or doesn't apply to you, then you will move on to item 3. Item 3 states there are a specific number of minor children who are subjected to this proceeding as follows. Insert the information request below on each child, and the residency on each child for information must be given for the last 5 years. So if you would like this form to cover one child, then you would place 1. If you would like to have this form cover more than one child, such as 2, you would place 2, 3 children, 3, 4 children, 4, so on and so forth. This form will only do 2 children. If you have more than 2 children, then you will need to check D below, which is additional children are listed on Form FL-105A/GC-120A, and move over to Form FL-105A/GC-120A, which is an attachment to your Declaration under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Enforcement Act. The information on these boxes within the child's name and information are the same as labeled in here, which we will go over right now. So, we'll go ahead and start with the oldest child. You will type in the oldest child's name, the place of birth of that child, the date of birth of that child, the sex of the child, and remember, the court would like to know the last 5 years of residency. So the period of residency, for example, 2015 to 2019, then 2019 to 2022, then 2020 to the present time. You can then indicate the address where the child resides at that time and the person who the child lived with, along with the complete address. Then the relationship that that individual had with the children, such as the petitioner or the respondent or another party, etc., etc. Once you've filled out the information above for the child's residence and the person who the child has lived with for the last 5 years, you will then do that for the second child. Now, keep in mind, this form, if both children have lived together and have not been separated, you could check this box. This box right here states residence information is the same as given above for child A. Child A, we attempted as oldest child. This would be the next oldest child, which is child B. Then if you had additional children, you can have child C, child E, child F, so on and so forth. And if all the residencies are the same, you could check the box. If all residencies are not the same, then you'd have to state the period of residency, the present address, the person the child lived with, and the current address, the relationship, the child's name, place of birth, date of birth, and the sex of the child for each child. Then we have got additional residence information for a child listed in item A or B is continued on attachment 3C. 3C, correct. So, what this is stating is that if you have a child that has moved more than 4 times, which would be 1 address, 2 address, 3 address, 4 address within the last 5 years, you can click C, open up a Word document, type attachment 3C, let the court know which child you're speaking about, the period of residency that the child lived, and then the address on where that child was living at. And you can do this for as many addresses that you need possible until you've reached the last 5 years. This will complete page 1 of the declaration under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. Thank you for watching. You may now go to page 2 once this is complete.